set,
Yeah.
just to dust off the cobwebs?
Yes, I haven't heard that expression very often, but yeah, I guess so. Even though this year, I feel much more in a rhythm. You get to break point, or you get to, the moment where you have to maybe serve your first time of the year as such, and it's like a normal thing. Whereas last year, you're like, ooh, I hope I'm gonna be able to hit my first serves. I hope it's gonna work out as much as it did in the practice. So I think all those question marks are not really there this time around, which is a nice thing. At the same time, you want to also enjoy yourself. Take it easy, not put too much pressure and expectations on yourself, because I remember playing this tournament here last year very freely, and then already next week in practice I was already putting all sorts of pressure on me, having to play well, wanting to play well in practice, and I got all disappointed that I wasn't playing better in the practice. So no, I'm just very happy that I was able to have a good level today, stayed calm under pressure, had some good moments moving forward, and I'm playing up in the court, so that's how I want to play for the year. So I think it was a great start.
And physically, how are you feeling? How's the body?
Good, body's great. Felt really hot out there. I think maybe the 5 degrees more to Dubai is something you do feel, and the sun, I'm not even playing in the sun. I don't know, and there was also not much wind, so maybe clearly you sweat more because of it, but it's good to get used to that kind of a heat, because in Melbourne we could be playing at 35, 38, before the heat rule comes in maybe, but no, it feels really good. Body's great, couldn't be better, so I'm very happy. And the jet lag's not bad, it's only 4 hours from Dubai, I think, which also matters, because I've played in some rough jet lags over the years, so this one's a fairly easy one.
How much can you experiment with your game in matches like this?
A fair bit, You can always throw in the occasional serve and volley, maybe even on second serve, chip and charge, hit and charge. Attack when the opponent's not expecting it. You hit a good shot, you realize he's maybe in defense, maybe not quite as much. You still move forward, maybe you get past, but in the process you learn a lot from your own game, and you learn a lot from what can be done and what you shouldn't do. And I think early on in the season that's important, yet it was always the right mindset, trying to play to win in some ways, and then, taking some chances in the bigger moments as well, because that's always one of those situations where you're usually going to pull back just a bit, because you want to give the opponent also the chance to miss. You can do that in a fifth set at 2-all, in the finals, but you don't want to do that, at 2-all first set in a second round. So I think it's important to let it fly a little bit, and I think I did that well today.
What did you make of Yuichi? You certainly improved in the last 12 months.
Yeah, I mean, I played him right before he made it. He won his tournament, because I remember watching him play in the qualies, and then he got in as a lucky loser, and he had that match where he played for almost 4 hours and won it he lost 7-6 in the third to Yuichi, but then I played 5 sets against him at the US Open, but then he got in as a lucky loser, and I played him then. And I played a really good match against him. It was clean. I didn't know him much before that tournament, and he went on to win Antalya after that in Turkey. So I think I see what can be problems for other players. He's got great intensity. I'm sure he's exactly always the same in practice and in the match. So for him to sustain that kind of a level that he had today, I think is fairly easy for him. And that's not an easy thing to do, to be quite honest, because a lot of players struggle with that sort of concentration. And then he's fast. He's got a simple game, doesn't have to worry about much except work ethic, and I think he's a good player, and he's going to only move up in the rankings from here on.
We've just seen Djokovic pull out of the tournament. It seems to be a lot of the top guys in the injury class.
Yeah.
What's that like, seeing so many people?
Well, I mean, look, they pulled out maybe because they're not quite ready yet, or because they need another couple of weeks, because if you do pull out the first week of the season, you can fly under the radar a bit longer. I think that's important for them. And then we'll only really know in a week's time or in 10 days' time who's really actually going to pull out. And I think that's then when you can really talk about it, because so far maybe it's precautionary, maybe it's really that they're not feeling well, but we're really far away from it all. So, I mean, I hope that they all get back at the same time, but something tells me that probably 2 guys out of the 5, 6 that have been injured for a while now probably won't make it, just because it seems like too many guys are really actually fighting something.
Yeah, and that really opens the door for you to defend your title.
We'll see then. We'll see in 10 days' time who actually is really going to pull out. But to be honest, I know it's maybe going to open the door for me and for others too. that's just all talk, you know, right now. I think at my age, I got to be really, really focused about my own game, about my own body, my own problems that I will have. It's still going to be 7 matches over 5 sets. That's not easy to do. So I think regardless of who's going to be playing, who not, to win the Australian Open doesn't come around easily. It's never been simple to win over there. So yeah, we'll really see what happens.
How are you managing your body differently now than maybe 5 or 6 years ago?
Quite differently. I'm surprised. You know, I thought I was just going to be able to play freely through my career and just do it till the very end, and then that was it. You know, but I think through the injury I sustained here in Australia a couple of years ago, my mindset has changed. I think I also just have to be more careful in some ways about my planning. I was already somewhat careful beforehand, and I was a big believer in taking breaks and making sure I take my necessary vacations and let inflammations heal, and you know, give yourself some time. You know, because I mean, that's what you anyway should do if you're, one of your goals is longevity. And longevity was always a big part of my game. You know, I always hoped when I became world #1 for the first time here in Melbourne in 2004 that hopefully I'll be able to play for a long time. And if that's the goal, I have to do it this way. If I have only 1 more year left to play, then I can just go all out and just play, forget about fitness almost, and just play tournaments instead of going to the practice courts. So I'm working a little bit different, which is nice because it's another change in my life. You know, it's another routine. I probably work less, but with even more quality. So it gives me more time off. So essentially, I'm working half days, if you like. You know, because there's no point for me to put in all the mega hours anymore because I know I have it in the vault. I have it there if need be. That's why I think it was very important for me to prove to myself at the Australian Open this year, to win those 3 5-setters that I have had, the 2 5-setters that I had at the US Open. I won all the big matches when it came down to the crunch, so I know I can do it, and important is just to really stay injury-free as good as I can.